Raising money has its pros, which is obviously like you're not going to die tomorrow. However, there's always this pressure of growth, right? And like, they've invested, they are looking for like really hockey stick, exponential growth, right? And it's growth at pretty much like all costs. And then it kind of always becomes this tug of war between users versus revenue, at least in the consumer world, right? Because the whole idea being to get more users and then, think about revenue later. Initially, when we started, we were very focused on users and user engagement. We weren't so fixated on revenues. And as we're seeing in the market right now, companies are imploding and exploding precisely for this reason, right? I think it's always a balance. And I think as entrepreneurs, you need to kind of be prudent about it and figure out that balance for you and push back people if it's growth at all costs.
When you're bootstrapping, it's literally like, if we don't get this deal, we're not going to be able to pay the bills next month. It's that close. We did all of the things. We took on customers that were not good fits early on. We took on business that was not in our core business. So custom projects, we did a lot of those. And then we just tweaked our pricing model all the time, depending on each customer. We knew we wanted to get to that consistent, standardized pricing model, but we had two issues. We didn't know what the right model was, and we just needed money coming in the door. It's like this old I Love Lucy episode that where Lucy and Ethel go to get a job in an employment agency, and the guy says, "What are your skills?" And they said, "What kind of jobs do you have open?" And he said, "What are your skills?" And they say, "What kind of jobs do you have open?" It's like, what do you charge? What's your budget? What do you charge? What's your budget? We were just trying to get any money that we could, and we didn't want to undersell it. And there was no really comparable offering. So we had nothing to compare it to. We had a little bit of a different model. And I think this is why it made our pricing complicated. Not the seats, which is a SaaS industry standard. We had human generated content. Basically, we had these very in depth executive dossiers. We had a database of like 40,000 profiles. But if one of our customers was targeting a C suite decision maker that was not in our database, as part of their core contract, they could request that profile and they loved that. But it's a very contrarian model. It was purchased by marketing, but the marketing team would feed it to sales. So we might have 5 to 15 marketers who would be the users of our tool, but they were providing our content to 2,000 or 500 salespeople. So that's tricky because if you charge per seat, you may not be getting as much money as to be worth giving it to 500 other people, right? So my brilliant partner, again, he saved the day by saying, what is your benefiting population? Who's really going to be using this? We're kind of shoehorning ourselves into a model that really didn't fit our business that well because that's how customers were used to hearing about it and buying it. How much per seat, right? But we had to just morph it and be flexible. And it really worked. We had a great customer that we had had for years. We had brought them on early on when our pricing was still kind of flexible and moving around a lot. And then we had another customer that we had brought on a few years later, and we had more of a solid pricing rationale and model at that point. Well, the one bought the other, and the prices were very different, what they were paying. But I was like, don't worry. They never talk. They probably don't even know each other. No one's ever going to know. And it's not like we were trying to pull anything on anybody. We got this price. And then 3 years later, we're on more solid ground, more data to draw from about what people are willing to pay. And so we had this different price. And then lo and behold, of course, they talked and we had to deal with it.